the film that I worked on, where I have like a first AC, like it was a Vets honors film, and it actually won a SAFTA yesterday. So
oh wow!
Yeah,
well, congratulations!
I actually heard about that. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
student.
Wow.
Yeah,
small
student,
world. Nice.
SAFTA. Yeah, best student film. Yeah. So that's the film that I also thought about, and the whole film we shot with 18 to 55 Fuji film. Fuji lens. Fuji.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we just used the zoom lens for the whole film. So like yeah.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Department Spotlight, the show where we talk to our friends and colleagues about things that are happening in the South African film industry. So today, obviously because of the pandemic thing, we can't be together.
So we're joined by 3 cinematographers, good friends of ours who shot 5 of the 6 short films, all of them except for Eve, who shot Public Engagement, but we'll try and figure out to do something with him at another time as he was not available for this. But yeah. Enjoy.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Louise. I'm a trained cinematographer. My main work that constantly keeps me occupied is shooting short films and being a first camera assistant.
Hi, my name is Nadis van Niekerk, and I work as a camera technician, mostly as a first AC. I also do second AC.
Okay, my name is Tshepang. I've been working for Via TV as a B camera operator, and I've been working on short films as well. I'm currently an intern at MultiChoice.
Awesome. Well, welcome guys, and welcome to this like very strange edition of Department Spotlight, which is the show where we speak to our friends and colleagues in the film industry just about their experiences in general. Let's walk through like you guys getting on set, right? So how do you sort of manage it from when you get onto set or even in pre-prod, but like once you get like contracted to do a job, what is the process? What happens?
So first things first, this will have a gear check. You'll show up and you would test everything camera-wise, everything from the actual camera, lenses, make sure the lenses are working, make sure the lenses are collimated. You'll measure distances, make sure the distances correlate with each other. You'll test cards, you'll test your codecs, you'll test literally everything and make sure that your camera as is will work on the day of shooting. You'll shoot some test footage, you'll send test footage to your DIT, and then when you get on set, you'll build camera. Generally we won't strike camera completely. We'll put the camera about half built, we'll de-lens it and so on at the end of the day. But you'll keep the camera mostly built. Every day when you get to set, you'll fix up your camera as you did, and you'll go and shoot. That being said, the DIT is generally in charge of cards. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the cards will sleep with the camera, but that happens very rarely. Obviously, you'll run into issues on almost every set, especially if you do long form. So that's when you'll do troubleshooting and so on, just to make sure that you don't run into as many issues. There's always something though, and that's when you'll have a channel of communication with your gear house for them to come and exchange gear and so on. But if you do your gear check properly and if you do it diligently, then you shouldn't run into too many issues.
And then after that, Tshepang, what do you do like after gear check?
For me, mostly I haven't had to shoot. I have a first AC. I'm mostly working on run and gun situations. Like the job needs to be done very quickly and stuff, because I do mostly documentaries as well. So I don't have that time to test lenses. I have to use what I'm given at the time. So mostly it's just run and gun situations, but I make sure I arrive on time on set. I set up the camera. I do some tests in terms of like, do I need ND filter for this? Do I need this? Do I need light? Mostly I just use like natural lights. Like there's a show that I've been working on, like it's on Via 147, TV channel. So that like I haven't used most of the light when I do like my B unit shoots as well. Like it's just natural light. And whenever the light is out, I have to stop shooting. So that's how I've been rolling mostly. The film that I worked on, where I have like a first AC, like it was a Vets honors film, and it actually won a SAFTA yesterday. So
oh wow!
Yeah,
wow! Congratulations!
I actually heard about that. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
student.
Wow.
Yeah,
small
student,
world. Nice.
SAFTA, yeah, best student film. Yeah, so that's the film that I also thought about, and the whole film we shot with 18 to 55 Fuji film. Fuji lens. Fuji.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we just used the zoom lens for the whole film. So like, yeah.
I see. Very interesting. Very interesting. And Louise, what maybe you can talk a bit about like lighting on when you get on set. How does that work for you?
Well, one thing that I will also say is that I noticed between the two cinematographers that have spoken that there is an element of problem solving. There's just different routes of going about it, like what I spoke about earlier. And it's all about your approach and your project. Like each situation is different. So when it comes to lighting, say if you do have a good relationship with a gear house and you are renting from a gear house, and the lights that they've given you have issues or etc., you're able to speak to them and to sort it out. If you don't have that kind of relationship where you're able to exchange equipment, then you've got to just figure out what to do with what you have available to you. And so depending on what that scenario looks like and what that environment looks like will highly impact what you're able to achieve in the end of the day. But like particularly natural light is your best friend. There's so much that you can do with natural light, and honestly with whatever you can find and whatever you can work with, you can really use it to like the best. Even if you just bounce some light through a window off a white sheet to give your character a bit of a fill, it makes a huge difference in the end of the day. Like it's all about how you work with what you've got available to you.
So what you're saying is sort of like you work with what you have on the day to light it.
Well, yes, I would say so. There is planning that goes into what you want specifically for your project. But of course, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be something that you didn't expect, and it's just rolling with the punches and coming up with the best. You always just got to deliver your absolute best that you can do. And sometimes it isn't what you wanted, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know what I mean? It sounds a bit strange, but like
I do.
I think, I'm sure you know what I mean. Like,
yeah. It sounds like you, both you and Tshepang are sort of coming from like kind of a low budget type environment.
Yeah.
Or more run and gun guerrilla style shooting. I'm curious, Nardis, you've worked on a lot of more like sort of big budget type shows, right? Am I correct?
Well, I wouldn't say big budget, but some sort of budget, yes.
Okay. And would you say the approach on those shoots are like different from what Louise and Tshepang are saying?
No, it's more or less the same, eh?
Yeah.
There's always something. There's always something, mate. I think the big difference is you have more of a support system. You sometimes have a larger crew. You sometimes even you as an assistant would have an assistant. You'll have runners and so on. So everything doesn't necessarily fall on your head. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I said earlier, you would oftentimes run into some issues, and you would be able to call a gear house or whoever, and they can send their technicians to come and help you out, or to replace gear, so on. Oftentimes on the lower budget stuff, you'll run into issues, or you'll have you'll have broken batteries or something, and you'll have to work around a way to shoot an entire day with only 2 or 3 batteries, for instance.
Yeah, true.
Whereas oftentimes on a bit of the larger shoots, you'll have spares, and you'll have a contingency plan. But no, it's more or less the same thing. There will always be issues, and it will always depend on somebody to fix those issues.
Yeah, I think the only instance where you're actually going to get something that's fully executable to your planning is if you're lucky enough to shoot in like a massive studio, and that's when you're getting huge budgets. That's like Warner Brothers kind of budget. So I think that's the only environment with enough resources that's controllable enough to absolutely execute your idea to the T.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's really cool that the thinking around the problem solving stays the same depending on, like, it doesn't even matter about the budget. The thinking still stays the same. It's just when you get more budget, you get more like safety net, as Nardis was saying. But the approach seems, from what you're saying, is still the same. Like, I often see, sort of from looking at like behind the scenes of various projects, is that they're still trying to find the sort of most low cost way to solve the problem. Because when you think about budget, you just think that, oh, you've got like all these more resources, but it's like you do in a sense, but it's this thing of, as the budgets get bigger, the amount of people get bigger, so everyone has to still get paid. So it's still, the money's still like distributed in the same sort of way as a smaller budget thing. So you still have to end up with these sort of very like creative solutions to stretch it as far as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, also it's time saving. Time is your biggest cost on a shoot, regardless of your budget.
I think at the end of the day, whether you're, a student working on a no budget, or if you're working in Hollywood on a Warner Brothers shoot, at the end of the day, you're doing the exact same job. You have different equipment. You might have better equipment, newer equipment, but it's still, at the end of the day, essentially it's the same thing.
Amazing.
I agree. Yeah,
that's actually really encouraging to hear as well, because like when you're starting out, you're like, oh, one day when I get to that level, I won't have these problems anymore. But the truth is actually like, no, you'll still have the issues. They'll just be like on a different scale, and you'll use the foundation that you built in the low budget time to fix those issues.
So great. That was the end of the conversation. We hope you all learned something. If you did, tell us about it down in the comments. We want to know what you have gained from this. And if there's a question about cinematography or any other part of the filmmaking process, leave it down below as well. I mean, we're at home, so we'll answer all your questions.
And yeah, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Go check out all the films that we've done in the past, and also go check out all the other episodes of Department Spotlight that are on this channel and in this playlist up here, and also in the card at the end of this video and in the description, just everywhere. If you'd like to listen to the full version of this conversation, you can click the links below to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other place where you listen to your podcasts. So until next time, stay inside and make your movie.